How's it going, everybody? David Hedge here, House Hedge Gaming, and today we're looking at the latest feature of a trading card game that has one versus many. So, for trading card games, this is not a new thing. We have seen it done many different times. For Magic the Gathering, it was Arch Enemy. For WoW TCG, it was the raid decks. For Versus System, you got to go against the big bad like Galactus. But in Alpha Clash TCG, they take it to a whole new level. Let's unbox and take a look at Siege of the Forgotten. Now, before I get to opening that, I do want to show off this playmat. So this is a playmat that I won at the Alpha Clash TCG booth at Gen Con. It is an amazing looking mat, but it also serves as a great battlefield for you to open up the Siege of the Forgotten and to go against it because it has all different play areas marked out because it is designed to be 1v many, but you can also play it 1v1, and I'll be attempting that later on down the line. But now I got the battlefield, we got the deck. Let's open up and see what's inside. All right, here is the Siege of the Forgotten raid deck, and like I said, it's a 1 to 5 player cooperative experience. This is definitely going to be something very unique. Uh, Not because I just saw unique, but there have been several different raid decks in the past for different card games, but this one looks like it's going to be something else to behold. So let's go ahead and open this up and see what we get in this deck. So I came across this at Gen Con, and like I said, the playmat, love the artwork right off the bat. You know that this is a big bad when you take a look at this artwork. So this is Lord Krung and his army of the discarded. So they're fleeing the streets of New York. Let's see what they have in store here. So we're going to get this out. And right off the bat, I do like the storage case for this. It just opens up. So it's very reminiscent to what we've seen with other ones before, but I like that this actually stands up. So it's like propped up a little bit. All right, so we're going to get these decks out here after it just closes on me, but it's okay. All right, so we got the decks there. We have the rule book here. And okay, we got the big bads and we got some booster packs. I will definitely be taking a look at these a little bit later on because these might be prizes you get for the raid deck. Most likely they are. So I'll just open these up when the time arrives. So we got the rule book here, which as always, they do a great job with the rule books. Make it a bit into a mini comic book, which I know they got comics getting ready to come out. This gives you the whole thing of how to set up for the gameplay here. All right, so we have that. Let's take a look at the big bads here. All right, so we got Lord Krung enraged, and I really like how this is laid out. Like you have the different health levels for this contender, where if it's one player, 30, but if you're going to add multiple players to it, it's going to be a lot harder to be able to do that. So at the start of the boss turn, you flip him, and you flip. Well, yeah, that's going to be trouble. So this is definitely going to be one that's be changing around each turn here. So, and then we have the portal. So the portal is another contender, which definitely has its own set of issues you have to deal with there. But they have their spots here. So yeah, you're basically having to go through and deal with him, but you gotta make sure you deal with the portal because it looks like minions are definitely gonna be coming through that, and it's gonna be something to deal. All right, so let's go ahead and open up. Let's open up the minion deck here first. All right, so it looks like there's a new thing called focus. At the start of the boss turn, give the focus to the player to your right. When your contender is targeted by a clash buff, at the end of the clash, give the focus to the player on your right. At the end of your turn, ready 2 resources. When the portal is closed, flip this card. If you control focus when your contender is defeated, give the focus to the player to the right. Okay, so it looks like this is a, let's see here, focus to the right, control focus. So it looks like with this here, and this is me not knowing yet the rules for this. So if I end up getting anything wrong, I'll definitely correct it when I do the playthrough. But I usually love just opening up stuff and being able to have fresh eyes going into it without even actually um, getting to know what's going on. So I can, as a gamer, I always love try to figure out things. So, but it looks like focus is something to where if you're the focus of maybe them or you're focusing on trying to defeat one of these, you get like a little extra power ups. But at the same time, if you are the focus of Lord Krung or any of the minions coming through the portal, it may be a bad time for you. But let's go ahead and take a look at some of the other cards in here. All right, so we have Burly Enforcer, which definitely looks like it's going to take a lot to go through that one here for this minion. Creature of the Collective. We also have Dauntless Defier. Looks like we got a good number of those minions here. So probably the minion deck's going to be a lot of the same characters you're going to be encountering. Like these are like the minor characters, but even though they might be minor, they're definitely going to cause big trouble. We have Necrotic Fodder. We have a good number of those that we'll have to go through. Scaled Lurker. We have Tormentor of the Legions. And I do have to say, right off the bat, all this artwork, I've always been a big fan of comic books, and I was a huge fan of the Versus system trading card game. And being able to see this game basically take a lot of the elements from comic books, which they do have a comic book getting ready to come out. They have Cosmic Conquest, the board game that just recently is released, and now you have this. I love that all these things are being intertwined to where like there's so many connective threads between all the different games, and I really do enjoy it. Plus, this artwork for all of them is amazing. Love it. We have Gur. We have Morak. So we're getting to like the bigger characters here. We have Rizlak. We have Trug. And then we have Guardian of the Portal. Because, of course, why wouldn't you have Guardians for the Portal if you're trying to close it? So these are going to make it a little bit harder to get through to actually close that portal when it comes to them. But we have the minions there. So now let's go to the Big Bad, the boss deck. All right, so here's the deck for the Big Bad himself. So we have Archaic Carnage. Yeah, that looks like Archaic Carnage right there. We have Bring It On. We have Draconic Assault. We have Fury of the Forgotten. Well, we saw a good number of that in the minion decks. So I definitely understand. We have Pavement Tyrant. We have Rebellious Yeti. We have Savage Force. Target minion you control get +1/+1, and Necrotic until end of turn, draw a card. We have Scent of Blood. We have Scorchborn Behemoth. We have Seek and Destroy. Search minion deck for Gur and put it into play. It's going to be interesting to see like how this is going to play out as since it is a 1 to 5 player, how this will actually run on its own. I'm very interested to see how that's going to go. And we'll do a little bit of, like I said, whenever we do the playthrough on this, we'll definitely have the little bit of a tutorial before that to help get ready for it because I'm going to need all the help I can get. We have Surprise Attack. We have Thundering Defiance. Tide of Oblivion. Unchained Fury. And we have Veiled Sabotage. So it looks like a lot of these will be focusing on trying to get the other minions out. And this thing's going to be a bum to deal with, man. I'll tell you that. So I better be ready for this one. All right, so here's the event deck. All for one and one for ... We have cut off one's head. Well, that's not nice. The first time a minion is defeated each turn, put the top card of the minion deck into play. Okay. That I don't like the sound of that at all. Flanking the enemy. Whenever a minion enters play from the ambush zone during a clash, it deals damage to an attacking opponent's contender equal to the initial attack power. I I'm not liking this at all. At all. This is gonna be trouble. For our king, trigger, enter, send all minions in play to oblivion. Okay, sounds good. Then each opponent sends a clash card they control to the oblivion for each minion sent this way. For each clash card an opponent is unable to send the oblivion, their contender loses 1 health. Okay, I don't like that. That's, yeah, I mean, that makes sense because minions can be expendable, and this will definitely prove that. Ill-gotten gains. Each opponent draws a card. For each card drawn this way, set the top card of the minion deck into the ambush zone. And it has little effects here. I noticed that a lot on the red here. For some of the cards, at the beginning of the boss turn, each opponent must discard a card at random. I'll be taking out that. I mean, if I could. Let's see. We got Krung's Arrival. If an opponent's cards would interplay with a trigger enter effect, that effect does not trigger. Sure, yeah, all right. 1-for-1 seems fair. Yeah, that, it would, but I've already seen some of the other cards. I'm like, yeah, this isn't gonna be 1-to-1. The first time an opponent plays a clash card each turn, set the top card of the minion deck into the ambush zone. At the end of each opponent's turn, if an opponent did not play a clash card, their contender loses X health, where X is the number of resources they control. Really? Come on, guys. More and more I'm reading these. Like, I know I didn't go through the minions. I know I didn't go through the boss deck that much. I just went and showed the pictures and all. I wanted to go through this because this is going to give me a detail of how much of a pain in the backside this thing's going to be when I actually go against it. And just seeing some of these right now, the team at Alpha Clash definitely know how to basically have it be a rough night to go against this. It's going to be a lot of fun, though. We have the Reinforcer. This card enters the minion zone instead of the Clash Ground zone. The effect enter, play an event. And then the trigger defeat, a player of the opponent's choice draws a card. The active boss gets a -0/-1 until the start of the next boss turn. When this card is defeated, each opponent's contender gains 1 health. Okay, see that. Okay, so we're getting a little bit of benefit from defeating some of these, so that's a good thing. I'm down with that. Relentless Hordes. If the boss controls less minions than the total number of clash cards among all opponents, put the top 2 cards in the minion deck into play. At the start of each opponent's turn, if the boss controls less minions than the total number of opponents' clash cards, put the top card of the minion deck into play. So you got to be mindful a little bit. You want to try and get enough out on the board to be able to deal with the bosses, but if you don't, if you go too far, this might kick you in the butt later. And then we have Ruthless Ranks. Trigger, enter the opponent whose controller or contender has the lowest health gains control of the focus and cannot lose control of it until the start of the next boss turn. And minions in play get breakthrough. So this is going to be... So one thing I've noticed, and I know if you've noticed as well, they reuse some of the artwork on these different cards. So it reminds me a bit of the Marvel Legends deck building game where they had to use some of the artwork for the big bosses that you're going against. And it shows the different variations of them. So this reminds me of that. So when playing this, reading the card explains the card, as we have been told by many different people online. So when you go against this deck, make sure that you don't just assume that the picture is, oh, it's ... Because a Magic player, for the most part, or for many card games, I've always been that way. I would associate the artwork of the card with the actual card text and everything itself. So this, you do have to make sure to pay attention. Don't just go, oh, this is this card, because it may end up being several different ones. So like this here, we have surround them, and we have, that's a lot of appendages. That's, yeah, okay. I love the name. So you just got to be careful with these when playing this deck. Because, like I said, if you're not, you can assume it's one thing, but it might be the other thing. So I'll have to make sure I'm out of that mindset getting into this. We have Time of the Essence, or Time is of the Essence. At the start of the boss turn, put a boss counter on the active boss. If a boss counter will be put on the boss by this card effect, put an additional boss counter on it for each opponent. Okay, so I can't wait to see what that red text is going to be for. We have Trapped in the underground subway. Opposing Clash cards get -1/-0 or -2/-0 if Krung is in play. Opposing Clash cards lose Fight and Super Speed, and you can't gain those traits. This is going to be something else. All right, so we have Trash or Treasure. Send all accessories with the highest initial resource cost to Oblivion. For each opponent that didn't send an accessory to the Oblivion this way, they discard a card. So yeah, they're even hitting the equipments. All right, makes sense. What backup? Opponents can't draw cards outside the draw step during their turn. You know, I've had to deal with a lot of this in the Avatar Aang's Destiny game that my wife and Hani and I have been playing for the past little bit. We've been stuck on box 5 as of the time of this filming. Or we were stuck on box 5, now we're in box 6. It's still a pain in the butt. But not being able to draw extra cards, no matter what card game or deck building game it is, it's definitely really a detriment. And so having this kind of card in here, if your strategy is to draw and be able to refill your hand quick to be able to play a lot of things, this can hamper that for a turn and might make it a bad day for you. And yep, it's worse than I thought. It's perfect name for this. Perfect name for last card in the event deck to go over, just because of what we've seen in here, which is going to be nuts. Opponents' contenders can't gain health, of course. At the start of the boss turn, each opponent's contender loses health equal to the number of Clash cards they control. All right, so we have the event cards, we have the boss deck, we have the minion deck. All I have to say is I'm going to be in for a long night if I go against this 1v1, and we'll have that in the near future. But like I said, I just glanced over these two decks because these are the main decks you're going to be going against. Let these be a little bit of a surprise for you. If you wanted to pause the video and read the cards, by all means. But I don't want to go through this because the event decks usually give you a hint of just how much trouble you're going to be in going into any type of a raid deck. And so this is definitely going to prove to be a challenge, and I cannot wait to get this on the table. Well, there you have it. That's what's inside the Siege of the Forgotten deck, and I gotta tell you, I'm ready for it. I have played all the different variants that I discussed at the very beginning of the video in various trading card games for 1v-many, but this one definitely takes it up to a different level. You have the minions, you got the big boss, you have the amazing artwork. It's going to be a challenge. It's not going to be a cakewalk, and I'm looking forward to seeing how bad I lose to this when I do my first playthrough of it coming up very soon. But thank you all so much for checking out this video. If you like it, please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and let everyone know the House Hedge Gaming is here for all of your gaming needs. But until next time, everyone, stay safe and take care, my friends.